This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to a half-hour Easter Monday edition of Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes. Well, a Central Newfoundland family doctor has taken to social media to speak out about what she sees as a deepening healthcare crisis. Dr. Lynette Powell says that crisis has pushed her to make a difficult personal decision. Here and Now's Mark Quinn reports.
There's just been a steady deterioration, particularly over the last 6 to 8 months. And when you're working on the ground, it's really hard, right? It's really hard to see what's happening.
Patients forced to make long drives for emergency care. Packed emergency rooms and long waits for virtual care. Real health consequences for thousands of patients who no longer have a family doctor.
I think we really have a bird's eye view of just how bad the situation has gotten. And like I said, on a day-to-day basis, you know, I felt like we were at the point where somebody had to start speaking up and just saying, you know, these things are happening and we need solutions.
The province says it's working hard to recruit more doctors, establish virtual ERs and collaborative care clinics. The health accord is also held up as a long-term solution. But Powell says those things aren't enough to solve the problems she's seeing now.
We need to look at Newfoundland and Labrador for what it is. It's a very rural and remote province. We need to start looking at places that are rural and remote and see what they're doing there. I mean, the territories, Northern Ontario, all these places are having similar challenges. But I really believe in the reading I've done, we're in a worse state.
Powell, who's practiced almost 2 decades in Grand Falls, Windsor, is now helping people she delivered with their pregnancies. But she says the deepening health crisis has pushed her to make a painful decision. Powell's closing her own community-based family practice.
I've just decided to shut down because right now it's not sustainable to be in as many places as I am. I'm pulled in a bunch of directions. I do work in our local health hub, which is the orphan patient clinic. We have huge gaps there now, so you can't do justice to multiple jobs, and I've made the decision to shut down, which has been very difficult. I don't know what else to say about that. It's still pretty raw.
Powell says she'll continue to work as a physician with her local health hub. It provides care for some of the more than 100,000 people in this province who don't have a family doctor. She says she hopes conditions will improve enough someday to allow her to reopen her family practice. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, now to the latest on COVID-19 in the province. There have been 5 deaths due to COVID-19 since last Wednesday, when health officials provided the last update. According to public health figures released today, there are now 34 people in hospital. 6 of them are in critical care. An infectious disease expert originally from this province is reminding people that rapid tests are only a snapshot in time and do not guarantee that you're not infected. Dr. Lisa Barrett says rapid tests can be helpful to confirm if you have COVID-19, but a negative test doesn't necessarily mean you're not carrying the virus. Many people are using rapid tests right now since there's limited access to public health PCR tests. Barrett says people can conduct the test incorrectly, and it's not a full indication of whether there's virus present in the body.
Yep, it's always been the case that you have to do the test right in terms of your technique, do it properly, do the actual dropping of things onto the little cartridge properly. That also impacts whether you're going to get a positive or negative test. But what I mean by that is that a positive at a time like this, when there's a lot of virus around, is pretty much, you don't need to confirm that that's a true positive. There will be a few false positives out there, but honestly, if you've got symptoms, assume a positive's a positive. A negative was never meant to tell you you're not infected. It was always meant to tell you that you are less infectious. And with Omicron, that can change quickly.
And Dr. Barrett also says that even though many places have dropped restrictions, she's encouraging people to continue following the advice of public health to wear masks, keep distancing, and especially stay away from others if you're infectious. She says public health officials recognize it's becoming more difficult to do that when there aren't official restrictions in place.
They also recognize people have significant challenges with actually doing that in public places and spaces right now. And so a lot of people are seeing a difference between what the government policy is and what the public health recommendation is. So I think we should all listen a little carefully and remember public health does need us to do it. And right now it's a little bit of a challenging situation that we don't have more policy that's helping people make the right decisions.
Well, visitor restrictions are now in place at some Labrador Grenfell health facilities experiencing COVID-19 outbreaks. Starting Friday, restrictions are in place at Happy Valley Goose Bay Long-Term Care Home and at the John M. Gray Center and Complex in St. Anthony. For more information on the restrictions and on other Labrador Grenfell health facilities experiencing outbreaks, you can check the Labrador Grenfell Health COVID visiting website. Okay, well, it is weather time. I'm filling in for Ashley on this holiday Monday, and hopefully you had the day off today as well, because it was a gorgeous day in St. John's. Still beautiful out there right now. Current conditions 6 degrees. Fairly windy though, with gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour. And we have lots of warnings in place. Some of these are for tonight, some are for tomorrow. We have a winter storm warning and a wind warning for southeastern Labrador. We have lots of rain coming for the south coast tomorrow night. I'll get into all of those details coming up. The town of Logie Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove is calling on the provincial government to repair Marine Drive. The road is one of the main thoroughfares in the community, but town officials say the road has been eroding since 2019 and breaking away on the ocean side. The mayor says that's dangerous, especially for pedestrians, but since the road is provincially owned, the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure is responsible to fix it.
If you look at the rail there, there's places where the bank has eroded away and the posts for the guardrails are actually hanging in midair. So I mean, this is a route that's used by the residents of this area. It's also used in the summertime by a lot of tour buses and things like that. So I mean, basically, this is a road that's it's on a scenic route. It's heavily used, and but I mean, the fact that these are here for 3 years indicates to me there's an issue with this road, and you know that. This is not a normal situation.
Well, Hickey says he spoke with the minister on Thursday and was told the department is currently looking at different options to fix the issue. In a statement, the department says it installed concrete barriers for safety and is continuing to monitor the area to determine next steps. Well, there have been several polar bear sightings in Newfoundland in the past few weeks, first on the Northern Peninsula, then in Central, and most recently on the Avalon Peninsula. Sightings have been made in St. Anthony, but also on Fogo Island in Central. Farther south, polar bear sightings are unusual, but on Thursday, one made it to Greats Cove, less than 200 kilometers from St. John's. A local resident said when she and her husband heard about the sightings in the area, they went looking for the bear and they were able to get some video of it. The bear was captured alive later that day by wildlife conservation officers.
To my husband, I think I see it. So we pulled over, and sure enough, on a clearing on the rocks, there was a polar bear sitting there just relaxing. Actually, he was about to lie down and have a little nap. He didn't seem to notice that we were there, so we were there for about 5 minutes just watching him. I was shocked. My reaction was, how did it get here? Because we have no snow and no ice.
Well, the Newfoundland Growlers kick off round 1 of the Kelly Cup playoffs on Friday at the Mary Brown Centre in St. John's. The team has 2 games this weekend in the city against the Trois-Rivières Lions in the North Division semifinals. Then it's off to Quebec for more games before returning to St. John's for the final 2 games if needed. Tickets for the semifinals are on sale now at the box office. He's being remembered as the founder of the film and TV industry in this province. Tomorrow is the funeral for Paul Pope. From small independent films to big shows like Hudson and Rex, his influence went beyond just the productions he worked on. Here's how some in the industry are remembering the producer.
I don't think there would be a Newfoundland and Labrador film industry without Paul. He thrilled to build, and he took on the impossible task in a kind of patriotic way to make an industry here. The challenges were immense. He had the nerve and as I say, the enterprise to do it.
Paul Pope really was the Pope of our film industry here in Newfoundland and Labrador. He wasn't infallible, but he was pretty damn close to it. Paul was an incredible strategist, and he would have a vision, and he was dogged. He would be persistent, and he was determined that it wasn't enough to have stories told about us, but that we had to tell our own stories. And Paul also very much was our bridge to Canada, to the big funders in Canada. And he felt that we had a right, not only to tell our own stories, but also a right to have access to the resources to do that. He never stopped.
I've known Pope since I was a tiny little tadpole in this industry. Pope was a giant. He was the founder of what we know as the industry today. And he gave me my first real big break with himself and Shaftesbury. They both produce Hudson and Rex. That everyone knows about. We did a mini series together, one of the biggest mini series at the time. It was my first lead role. Myself, Leanne Balaban, and a young gentleman by the name of Mark Critch. It was a big deal for me. And from that moment on, he became a pretty prominent figure in my career and my life.
He gave me the reassurance that this was a place that knew how to tell stories if it could tap the potential and the talent and the support to make that happen. And we're living that reality right now. There's no question about it. I'm not sure anybody else had that kind of dedication, the diligence, the follow through. He loved projects. He loved managing projects. And the whole industry was one big project for him.
I think the future is very bright because of Paul Pope. He was instrumental in getting this new educational facility. He's built the productions that he spawned have created trained crews. He's advanced the sort of professionalism of the activity here. He's gone too soon. His shoes will be impossible to fill, but I think his labors put the foundation in place for a very, very bright future. That bright future owes more to him than any other individual. And I can't stress that enough.
He was a really big believer in the greater good, and the greater good serves everyone. Yeah, and it's going to be tough. It's a hole that's been created with his death, sudden death. So many of us are going to be affected by it, and no one person will be able to fill it.
Here's a live look at St. John's Harbor. Temperature dropping a little bit out there now, 4 degrees. We could see a light rain shower early this evening. Lots of rain on the way for the South Coast tomorrow night. I'll have the full forecast coming up.
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. Early bird deadline is midnight, Friday, May 6th. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Okay, time for a look at the weather forecast. What a great day on the island today. Temperature-wise, 10 degrees was the high in St. John's. Looking at some nice temperatures right across the island. Much cooler, though, in Labrador today, and some messy weather as well. Tonight, we'll have some blowing snow in southeastern Labrador. All of the snow that fell today, that's going to be blowing around with some high winds tonight. Tomorrow is going to be gorgeous. It looks like it's shaping up to be a really nice day. Then Tuesday night into Wednesday, we have some nasty weather coming. Lots of rain and wind for the island. So this is for this evening. Winter storm warning in the Cartwright area. We have some high winds going down the southeast coast, blowing all of that snow around. Special weather statement in place for tomorrow. For the island, this is for tomorrow evening into Wednesday. We have a wind warning up along the coast here. Wreck house wind warning, gusts up to 140 kilometers an hour tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night and Wednesday, and some very heavy rain coming for the south coast as well. So for now, let's have a look at tonight. We could see a couple of showers on the Avalon Peninsula, but overall looking at a very clear evening in the province. Those winds staying fairly strong in the east, northwesterly gusting up to 50. Same story there on the west coast. Overnight lows -4 in St. John's, -7 in Corner Brook. In Labrador, a very chilly evening, but mostly clear. Could see some flurries there in Cartwright, and some high winds, northwesterly winds, 50 to 80, gusting up to 100 along the coast. So that's what that warning is for. So looking ahead to tomorrow, check out the island. Very little by way of cloud cover until we get into the evening hours, and we have some snow coming in for Labrador West in the evening as well. And this is the system that's going to be bringing all of the messy weather to the island. So tomorrow, light winds in the east, north 20 kilometers an hour, and temperatures very comfortable, 6-7 degrees there on the Avalon Peninsula. Lots of sunshine to enjoy. Very similar story in central as well as the west coast. So quiet weather-wise on the island. A nice day to get out if you can, for sure. Similar story up along the Straits. And for the rest of Labrador, you can see Labrador City, Churchill Falls, those chance of flurries later on. Light winds there as well tomorrow. So we're getting into Tuesday evening. The snow pushes through here in Lab West, and we have all of this coming down. This could be between 40 and 70 millimeters of rain for the south coast. So for the east, we won't be seeing much of that until later Wednesday evening, but yeah, it's going to be pretty messy, pretty windy as well. Temperatures 4 degrees in Port aux Basques on Wednesday, 7, 8, 9 degrees mostly for the island. In Labrador, you're above zero there too. Happy Valley Goose Bay looking at 8 degrees there. So here's our 5-day forecasts. Pretty consistent temperature-wise, 7 degrees until we get into the weekend, and then chances some showers or flurries there on Saturday. For Central, similar story temperature-wise, and a little bit of messy weather coming there on Friday and Saturday. Similar story for Western Newfoundland and up in Labrador. Looking at a mix of flurries and some showers there on Friday, and some flurries on Saturday. Friday, looking at a few flurries. Temperatures dipping down, very cold in the overnight hours, especially with that wind chill. So here is our viewer photo of the day, of course. If anyone knows me, you know that I adore honeybees, so I had to use this beautiful photo of the honeybees collecting the pollen off of the crocuses, hauling some pollen. Barbara Harper, thank you so much for sending that in.
It took over 40 years, but this family finally found its way home. The story of a reunion unlike any other. Sunday at 11:30 and Monday at 7.
Well, as Moscow appears to be gearing up for a major offensive in eastern Ukraine, Russian missile attacks hit the western city of Lviv today. Officials say it killed at least 7 people. The region's governor says the strikes hit this auto mechanic shop along with 3 military-related facilities. A child was among those wounded. Lviv has been a relatively safe harbor for millions, mostly women, children, and the elderly escaping the conflict in other parts of the country. The city's mayor says a hotel sheltering some of them was badly damaged in the attack. Russia also struck multiple other targets, including infrastructure across Ukraine. Some experts say Moscow may be trying to wear down any resistance ahead of its planned offensive in the Donbass region. Well, in South Africa, the military is being deployed to help with relief efforts after a week of devastating rains and flooding. More than 400 people have died and dozens are missing in the coastal city of Durban and surrounding areas. 10,000 soldiers from the National Defense Force are being called up for rescue and medical support missions. Thousands of South Africans have been left homeless, without power and safe drinking water after flooding and mudslides. Rescuers are using sniffer dogs to search for people trapped under the debris. Earlier in the show, you heard from several people in the local film and television industry about the power and influence of Paul Pope. The pillar of the province's film industry died last Thursday. Among his successful productions was the 2001 film Rare Birds. So we're dipping into the archives tonight to bring you back to the St. John's premiere of Pope's award-winning film.
Rare Birds is Newfoundland's most ambitious independent feature film so far. A $5 million production, and for the first time there's a big-name distributor willing to spend money on promoting it. The story is based on the novel of the same name by Newfoundland writer Ed Rich. The script is sharp and funny. The scenery is stunning. This is Newfoundland the way it is, quirky and raw, and not the least bit cute or sentimental. But what really makes this film is the chemistry between the 2 main actors, Hollywood star William Hurt and local screen veteran Andy Jones.
Get a price on the cocaine.
Andy steals the show, he's like fabulous.
Hurt's character Dave is going nowhere until his neighbor Fonz, played by Jones, comes into his life. Fonz is the kind of legendary handyman who, as the Newfoundland saying goes, can put the arse in the cat.
So when I sort of said to Andy, well, we're kind of thinking of that, we'd like you to, look at this part, right? And he said, oh, that's not me.
Because physically, I pictured Fonz as being a wiry, muscular, together physically type guy. Yeah. Not a guy who has a Humpty Dumpty body, as a critic said recently about me.
When we did the first read-through with all the actors, the first time everybody's in the room, and we did this read-through and stuff, and William, who was fabulous, to deal with, William comes up to me afterward and he says, okay, Paul, he says, I get it. I'm Andy Straight Man, right? Yeah.
And that's what this film is, a classic, very funny setup in which Jones gets all the laughs and Hurt the more discreet tip of the hat. This was a partisan crowd of people who worked on the film or had one reason or another to support it. The real test will come this weekend, when Rare Birds starts its commercial run here in Newfoundland. Atsritsori, CBC News, St. John's.
Such a huge loss, and that funeral for Paul Pope is going to be held tomorrow morning at Gower Street United Church in St. John's. So before we leave you tonight, let's have one quick last look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. It is a gorgeous day coming tomorrow, 6 degrees, lots of sunshine in St. John's, stronger winds on the west coast, but just a beautiful, beautiful day ahead of some messy weather that's also coming tomorrow evening into Wednesday. today. Wreckhouse wind warning in effect for tomorrow evening. Lots of rain, especially for the southwest coast. So I'm sure Ashley will have lots on that tomorrow. That's it for Here and Now tonight. We'll be back normal time tomorrow with an hour-long program starting at 6 o'clock, 5:30 in most parts of Labrador. Thanks for joining us.